Our special guest of honor is Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON. The head of the civil, thank you very much. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, ON, MNI, the Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, CON, the representative of the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Chairman of the 2025 Annual Directors Conference, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, Chairman, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, our keynote speaker, Dr. Kola Adeshino, MFR, Member, Chartered Institute of Directors, and the Group Managing Director of Sahara Power Group, the President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, Otumba Adetuji Oyebanji, Fellow Chartered Institute of Directors, the First Vice President, Chartered Institute of Directors, Mrs. Amina Oyabola, Fellow Chartered Institute of Directors, Second Vice President, Chartered Institute of Directors, Alaji Lamis Diko, Fellow Chartered Institute of Directors, distinguished past presidents of the Chartered Institute of Directors, members of the Governing Council, Chairman, National Organizing Committee for the 2025 Annual Directors Conference, Otumba Bimbola Ashiru, Member, Chartered Institute of Directors, members of the National Organizing Committee for the 2025 Annual Directors Conference, the Director General and the Chief Executive Officer of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Dr. Taiwo Nolas Alausa, Fellows of the Chartered Institute of Directors, members of the Chartered Institute of Directors, our headline sponsor, First Bank of Nigeria PLC, our partner sponsor, Boa Group, our esteemed sponsors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the 2025 Annual Directors Conference themed Leading Through Change, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Enterprises. Welcome.
At the heart of every great conference lies vision. At the heart of this vision stands a man of substance who has steered this planning ship with admirable tact. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the ADC Planning Committee, Otumba Bimbola Ashiru, MCIoD, for his welcome address.
Thank you very much, MC. I think the second MC, the lady MC, has actually done the protocol listing. And like they say in Nigeria, you want to sit or stand on the existing protocol. But I can't do that without acknowledging the presence of our special guest of honor, His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, who is ably represented here today by the Honorable Minister for Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu. Thank you very much for coming. And you've always been our supporter. And also, General of the Permanent MD, Head of Service, who is here today, Ajia Fatima Sugra. And I want to acknowledge the presence of all the past presidents who are here today. Thank you very much for your support. And the members of the committees, planning committees, I actually appreciate your presence. and members of CIoD. It's actually my distinct honor to welcome you all on behalf of the Governing Council of Chartered Institute of Directors and the 2025 Annual Directors Conference. Today, we are happy to honor and receive you all here in this hall this morning, because this is the flagship event of the Chartered Institute of Directors that is done every year. In deciding the theme for this year, 2025 National Conference, we decided on having leading through change, building sustainable and inclusive enterprise. We are speaking directly to the core challenges, the ultimate responsibility facing every boardroom today. I know CIoD is known for proper corporate governance in this country in the last 40 years. Therefore, our gathering here today is to reflect how sound governance and strong leadership principles can drive the economic growth and development of our nation. As we all know, good governance is a practical tool for fostering economic resilience and sustainable progress. Over the past next 2 days, we have created thematic areas designed not for passive listening, like people go for UN, you come back, say the same story. No, we want to walk the talk this time around, and we want to have the key issues on them. Each section has been carefully designed to cover a wide range of critical topics, which will feature policy debates, with government representatives, deep dives into technological disruption with corporate gurus, and practical case studies from CEOs who have successfully operationalized sustainability and inclusivity into their core strategy. We are here to challenge assumptions, to share insights, and to collectively define the best practice that will distinguish resilient enterprises from those that stagnate. I urge you to engage with rigor, to seek constructive dissent, and to leave this conference with not just ideas, but tangible commitments that you will champion within your respective spheres of influence. The climax of this event will be the business, meet the business government dinner. And Madam, we are expecting the head of service as our special guest of honor tomorrow. I believe she'll be able to attend. Thank her in advance for us. I think she deserves a round of applause. Because the chairman for tomorrow's event is another woman. And you know, women keep on saying that you want to take over Nigeria. We don't mind. So tomorrow, we'll expect her to come and share that occasion. Please tell her. And I know she will come. She's my good sister. These events are enriched by presence of esteemed individuals comprising of renowned leaders in international organizations, the finance and corporate governance, seasoned boardroom leaders, captains of industry, and high-ranking public sector officials. We hope that our deliberations and discussions surrounding the conference theme will lead to a deeper understanding of issues and suggest a way forward for a viable economic prosperous of our nation. I would like to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is ably represented here, for always supporting us. The chairman of the conference is coming in. He just called that he's running slightly late. We want to thank him in absentia. And the chairman of, Speaker, Kola Adesina, who is coming in very soon, and distinguished speakers, panelists, moderators, participants. Without you here, our efforts will be in futility. I must extend special thanks to the Governing Council of this institute, ably led by Otumba Adetukumbo Oyebanji, fellow Chartered Institute of Directors, for your unwavering leadership in promoting sound corporate governance and for consistently providing platforms where important national corporate issues are addressed. This appreciation will not complete without thanking my wonderful members of this national committee. They are still here till 2 a.m. this morning, and we're meeting virtually every day. I want to thank you. Like I told you, the chairman is a member of the team. So the success of the team is the success of the chairman and the success of the team too. So we are all together and I want to appreciate you all for your efforts. The committee is ensuring that all the key stakeholders earnestly, constructively engage this event. We encourage you to participate actively, network, and share your valuable insights. Your input will be driving positive change in our shared objectives. We look forward to your enthusiastic involvement and the meaningful contributions you will bring to enrich these conversations. Remember, this conference is not just about discussions, but about translating ideas into actions, and this will shape the future of governance, economic growth of our nation. I want to thank you once again for being part of this great event to chart the course towards a more prosperous, resilient, and sustainable governance Nigeria. Thank you for being here, and God bless you.
Can we have another round of applause for Otumba Bimbora Ashiru, CIoD? The Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria remains the compass for corporate governance. At its helm stands a leader whose dedication inspires us all. Please welcome the president of CIoD Nigeria, Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji of CIoD, for his address.
I'm tempted to stand on existing protocols, but if you look at my size, if I attempt to stand, I don't know, the protocols may end up collapsing. But notwithstanding, it's important, like the chairman of the planning committee, to recognize some extremely and very eminent personalities. Particularly our special guest of honor, His Excellency, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON. You're very welcome, sir. I'd also like to recognize the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Esther Walsin-Jack, ON, who is also ably represented by Hajia Fatima Mahmood, Permanent Secretary, Career Management Office. You are very welcome. I also recognize the Honorable Minister of Communications, Innovations, and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, the Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, CON, who will soon be joining us, the representative of the Governor of the Central Bank, the Director General Securities and Exchange Commission, the Chairman of the 2025 Annual Directors Conference, and a very good friend of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, HF CIoD, Chairman, Ministry of Finance, Incorporated. Our keynote speaker, Dr. Kola Adeshino, MFR, MCIOD, Group Managing Director, Sahara Power Group. I almost wanted to recognize myself. The first Vice President, Mrs. Amina Oyagbola. The second Vice President, Alhaji Lamis Diko, FCIOD. Distinguished past presidents here present, members of the Governing Council, Chairman, National Organizing Committee, and my dear brother and friend, Otumba Bimbo Ashiru, MCIOD, members of the National Organizing Committee who have done a yeoman's job, the Director General CEO of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Dr. Taiwo Nolas Alausa, and at this point, I will say all protocols observed, because I think the weight has reduced somewhat. Good morning. On behalf of the Governing Council, members of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, I extend a warm welcome to you all as we gather for the 2025 Annual Directors Conference. This prestigious gathering brings together directors, business leaders, entrepreneurs, diplomats, and corporate governance professionals from different sectors across our nation and beyond. The significance of this conference is immense, particularly at a time when the need for sound governance and leadership is crucial to our nation's quest to build enduring enterprises that will stand the test of time. I want to especially welcome His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by our Minister of Budget and Planning. Your Excellency, we are deeply honored by your presence this morning. It speaks volumes of your administration's commitment to promoting good governance and private sector growth as pillars of national development. We sincerely thank you for accepting our invitation. Our special appreciation also goes to the chairman of the conference, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, Chairman, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, for your continued support, which has been critical to the success of this event. Similarly, we are pleased to have Dr. Kola Adesina, MFR, MCIoD, Group Managing Director, Sahara Power Group, with us today. Your presence is truly valued, and we thank you for honoring our invitation. A warm welcome also goes out to all the ministers and governors here present or represented. In the same vein, let me welcome our distinguished guests from both public and private sectors. We are truly grateful to have you with us, members of the diplomatic corps, senior government officials, leaders of the organized private sector, chief executives of various corporate bodies and public institutions, as well as other esteemed guests. Your Excellency, the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria proudly leads the advocacy for sound corporate governance in both public and private sectors. Our mission is clear: to develop competent, ethical, and visionary leaders who will drive enterprise performance and national prosperity. As the recognized voice of directors, we continuously empower our members to contribute meaningfully to their organizations, their communities, and our nation. We are also deeply committed to supporting the government through policy advocacy, capacity building, and the promotion of governance excellence across all sectors. Our annual Directors Conference, ADC, remains the flagship platform for public engagement and thought leadership. It brings together decision makers from the boardroom, government, academia, and civil society to deliberate on issues shaping the future of business and governance. This year's theme, Leading Through Change, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Enterprises, is timely and appropriate given the global economic and policy thrust. Around the world, organizations are navigating profound economic shifts, and leaders are being called upon to balance profitability with responsibility, growth with inclusion, and innovation with integrity. Distinguished business leader Dr. Kola Adesina, MFR, MCIoD, will set the tone for our discussions. His visionary leadership in transforming Africa's power and energy sectors exemplifies the kind of strategic commitment required to drive growth through innovation, infrastructure development, and operational excellence. A study by Ofori, Dizzy, and Odum 2025 on inclusive business, private sector credit, and economic welfare, evidence from Africa, an analysis of 54 African countries between 2006 and 2020 reveals that increase in private sector credit significantly enhances economic welfare, especially in environments that encourage ease of doing business. Similarly, ARMY 2025 study on how ESG principles are driving Africa's economic future highlights that ESG, environmental, social, and governance integration, is rapidly gaining traction across Africa. Over 20 countries now incorporate sustainability principles into their financial market regulations, and about 15 countries provide incentives for green, sustainable assets, which reinforce the continent's commitment to responsible and inclusive enterprise development. In Nigeria, these insights are reflected in both public and private sector initiatives. An inclusive business strategy integrates vulnerable groups, especially women and youth, into productive sectors such as renewable energy and fintech, through access to finance and enabling policies. SMEs, which contribute nearly 50% of Nigeria's GDP and 75% of employment according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, and Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDAN, MSME 2021 survey, remain the backbone of this inclusive growth. Yet, challenges persist. Policy inconsistencies, infrastructure deficits, and limited access to affordable finance hinder progress. Addressing these challenges requires stronger public-private partnerships, capacity building, and innovative financing models tailored to scale inclusive enterprises. Evidence from these studies and Nigerian-led initiatives underscore one truth: economies anchored on inclusive governance and sustainability-driven business practices experience more equitable and enduring growth. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, over the next 2 days, we will explore the conference theme through lenses of institutional risk resilience, strategic foresight, succession planning, stakeholder engagement. These discussions will provide valuable insights into how organizations can anticipate challenges, strengthen their governance structures, ensure leadership continuity, and build trust with stakeholders. Together, these elements form the foundation for sustainable growth and long-term enterprise success. Also, as part of this conference, we are proud to host the Business Meets Government Dinner tomorrow evening, Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. This unique event will bring together senior leaders from both the private and the public sectors, providing an opportunity for meaningful dialogue on how we can work together to foster growth and development in Nigeria. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the National Organizing Committee, ably led by Otunba Bimbola Ashiru, MCIoD, for their hard work and dedication. I must also appreciate our partners, sponsors, and all the enthusiastic participants who have contributed to making this conference a great success. Your presence today highlights our commitment to advancing good governance practices and reflects your dedication to ensuring our nation's economic development. The importance of your support in bringing this event to fruition cannot be overstated. Your generosity, expertise, and resources have been vital in making this conference a reality, and we are sincerely grateful for your unwavering commitment. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we recognize and appreciate your alignment with the values and goals of the Chartered Institute of Directors. Your contributions and engagement demonstrate our shared vision of promoting excellence in governance and leadership. Working together, we can create a brighter future for our nation, marked by transparency, accountability, and sustainable growth. In closing, I encourage you all to actively participate, network, and share your knowledge in the upcoming sessions. Let us collaborate to drive the nation's quest to build inclusive, sustainable enterprises. The future of our nation rests in our hands, and I'm confident that with our collective dedication and expertise, we can build a new Nigeria that is economically viable, sustainable, and prosperous for all. Once again, welcome. I look forward to the productive sessions ahead. Thank you for listening.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, every successful gathering has a compass, a steady hand, a wise voice. Our conference chairman is a man of immense stature, a thought leader whose insights have enriched policy, finance, and national strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, Chairman, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, for his remarks.
Honorable Ministers present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me start by expressing my apology for being late. You don't come late to an event like this with such distinguished people. And those who know me know that it's not in my nature to come late. So if this were Lagos, I would have said it's the traffic. And we know it's not Lagos. You cannot use traffic as an excuse in Abuja. I could have said, well, it's the strike. You know, I had to go around in order to, and it's not that, because I don't think there's any strike today. Or if there is, I didn't see any evidence. I could blame my driver for coming late, you know? And it's really none of that. It's me. I woke up this morning for my usual, I do 3 days a week, I do an 8-kilometer walk. I went on my walk and got back home about 7:30, took a shower, and then I have this reclining chair, massage chair. You know, I just said, well, it's not 8 o'clock yet, we're 10 o'clock, you know, and I put it on to just relax for a few minutes, and I went off. So, my apology. I can't blame anybody, I blame myself, and I strongly apologize. But here we are. This is obviously a very important conference, particularly being organized by the CIoD. It's something that is really outstanding, and in my role, particularly now as chair of MOFI, part of what we have been, or in fact underlying a lot of what we have been doing, is to try and encourage greater corporate governance. It's actually part of the main theme of what we are trying to do in order to turn many of the institutions that we are managing, the investments that we are managing and those that we are setting up newly, to start with a very strong basis of corporate governance. And IoD is obviously, CIoD is a leading institution. Those of you in the executive know that we are actually collaborating with you in order to lay this solid foundation for greater corporate governance. So clearly it's an honor for me to be invited to chair this occasion. And I think as part of the prize for my late coming, I had a slightly prepared speech, but I decided just to speak off the cuff in order to be able to save the time for all of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can we please appreciate our conference chairman, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON. Next, I would like to invite to give her remark an accomplished administrator and a reform-minded leader entrusted with the responsibility of strengthening the structures, professionalism, and service delivery of Nigeria's civil service. We are honored to have her with us this morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, OON, MNI, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, to deliver her remarks. She's here represented by the Permanent Secretary, Career Management Office, Mrs. Fatima Sugra Mahmood. Can we please appreciate her as she comes to give her remarks?
Good morning. As you've heard, I'm here to represent an astute administrator, a visionary leader, the digital head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Esther Wilson-Jack. My voice, but her words. She sent this address for me to read to you. So it's an honor to be the one to represent her today. His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON, the Chairman of the Conference, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, the Transformative Permanent Secretary, SPSO, Dr. Deborah Odo, FSM, MCIPM, President and Chairman of the Council, Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria, Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji, FCIoD, immediate past presidents and members of the Governing Council of the CIoD Nigeria, Director General and Chief Executive Officer, CIoD Nigeria, Dr. Taiwo Nolas Alausa, Chairman, Planning Committee, Otumba Abimbola Aishiru, MCIOD, Captains of Industries, distinguished directors from the public and private sectors, members of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, development partners, members of the diplomatic corps and the academia, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to join you at this year's Annual Directors Conference of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. This gathering of distinguished leaders from both the public and private sectors represents the very best of the Nigerian enterprise, innovation, and governance. Let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the President and Council of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, ably led by Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji, FCIOD, and to the Chairman of the Planning Committee, Otumba Bimbola Ashiru, MCIOD, for their kind invitation and for the deepening collaboration between the Institute and the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. I especially thank you for the courtesy visit to my office and for your thoughtful initiative to make membership of your distinguished institute more accessible to the civil servants. This gesture speaks volumes about your commitment to developing ethical, visionary leadership across all sectors, and it aligns perfectly with our drive to professionalize the federal civil service and build a knowledge-driven workforce. The theme of this year's conference, Leading Through Change, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Enterprises, could not have come at a better time. It resonates strongly with the vision of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, whose renewed hope agenda is anchored on transformation, sustainability, and inclusive growth. The first part of your theme, Leading Through Change mirrors the journey we are undertaking in the Federal Civil Service through the far-reaching reforms under the Federal Civil Service Strategy and Implementation Plan 2021 to 2025, which we popularly call FCIP 25. We are retooling systems, retraining officers, and reimagining the future of work in government through digital transformation. From automating service processes to digitizing personnel records and expanding e-learning opportunities, we are empowering civil servants to perform with greater speed, transparency, and precision. Change is no longer something we do or we respond to, but something we lead. A cornerstone of this transformation is the Once Knowledge System, one of our most significant initiatives in the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. The Once Knowledge System is a service-wide training and knowledge management framework designed to ensure that the Federal Civil Service functions as a continuous learning organization. It comprises 5 interconnected components: onboarding program, which provides a structured induction to new entrants into the Federal Civil Service, newly promoted directors, permanent secretaries, and chief executives of agencies and parastatals, ensuring a shared understanding of values, ethics, and expectations from day one in office. Capability development, offering comprehensive learning opportunities through cadre-specific and grade-level training, our structured mandatory assessment training program, our leadership enhancement program, and the e-learning platforms, as well as specialized partnership with institutions such as ASCON, PSIN, FTCs, NIDA, the Bureau of Statistics, and Nigerian Data Protection Commission. Our executive leadership development, focusing on continuous leadership growth through executive masterclasses for honorable ministers, permanent secretaries, and chief executive officers. Our exit management, supporting officers approaching retirement through agripreneurship and entrepreneurship programs, equipping them to transit productively beyond the service. Knowledge management, capturing, capturing, preserving, and sharing institutional memory so that knowledge gained anywhere in the service can be assessed and applied everywhere. In essence, the Once Knowledge Management System ensures that once knowledge is acquired in any part of the civil service, it becomes a permanent, accessible asset to the entire system. This is how we are institutionalizing learning, preserving experience, and ensuring the continuity of wisdom and expertise across generations of public servants. I also commend the Chartered Institute of Directors for your unwavering commitment to sound corporate governance, ethical leadership, and professional excellence. Your work is strengthening the quality of leadership in the corporate world, reflects the same values as we uphold in the public service. The alignment between your mission and ours is undeniable. The Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria, is nurturing directors who drive sustainable enterprise. The civil service is nurturing leaders who drive effective governance. Together, we are building the ethical foundation upon which national progress depends. The second part of your theme, building sustainable and inclusive enterprises, reminds us that sustainability and inclusivity are the true test of leadership. In the civil service, we are creating a workplace that values every voice and empowers every officer to thrive. Our reforms actively promote gender equity, youth inclusion, and opportunities for persons with disabilities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the civil service remains the engine of governance and a vital contributor to Nigeria's economic development. Every reform, every policy, and every national plan depends on the effectiveness of civil service to turn ideas into impact. Through improved governance, digital innovation, and institutionalization of accountability, the civil service is helping to drive productivity, attract investment, and support the overall growth of our economy. That is why this partnership between the CIoD and the civil service is so valuable. When we combine the governance principle, discipline of the corporate sector with the reform momentum of the public service, we create a stronger, smarter, and more sustainable Nigeria. It is this human-centered approach that defines my philosophy as a leader, philosophy of leadership. At the core of my personal values is the belief that great institutions are built by people who work with purpose and lead with principle. My personal core values are represented by the acronym HIDE: hard work, integrity, diligence, and empathy. These are the values that have guided my service and leadership journey, shaping the way I engage, decide, and deliver. Complementing these are also my key performance indicators, which spell the word HEAL: help people, empower people, accept people, and love people. HEAL expresses the human essence of leadership, that true progress is achieved when leaders help others to rise, empower them to contribute, advance their potential, and lead and love with compassion. When we live by HIDE and lead by HEAL, we create workplaces that inspire excellence and nations that thrive on empathy and purpose. My charge to you today is this: lead with knowledge, lead with integrity, lead through change, and let your leadership be a source of value not just for your organizations, but for our nation. I once again thank the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria for your partnership, your dedication to good governance, and your role in shaping the next generation of ethical and visionary leaders. God bless the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, God bless the Federal Civil Service, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Once again, can we appreciate Mrs. Didi Esther Wilson-Jack, ably represented by Hajia Fatima Sugra Mahmood. Thank you so much, ma. Thank you. So next, we invite to give his remark Honorable Wale Edun, the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, represented by Indidi Chinoyelum Mrs., the Director in the Economic Policy of the Office of the Honorable Minister of State of Finance. Can we please appreciate Mrs. Indidi as she comes to give us the Honorable Minister's remark? Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Distinguished fellows of the Institute of Directors, it is an honor to join you at this year's annual conference, a gathering of Nigeria's foremost business leaders and governance professionals. Let me commend the Institute of Directors Nigeria for its enduring commitment to promoting sound corporate governance, ethical leadership, and enterprise sustainability. The theme of this year's conference, Leading Through Change, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Enterprises, could not be more relevant. We are living in an era defined by rapid transformation, technological disruption, climate change, demographic shifts, and evolving global trade dynamics. For Nigeria, these changes represent both formidable challenges and unprecedented opportunities. The question before us is not whether change will come, but how will it lead through it, with resilience, responsibility, and vision. As a government, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has earmarked on bold fiscal and economic reforms aimed at restoring stability, promoting growth, and ensuring inclusion. And I'm pleased to report that these reforms are yielding tangible results. Over the past 1 year, Nigeria's economy has shown clear signs of recovery and resilience. Real GDP grew by 3.13%, and in the first quarter of 2025, up from 2.4% a year earlier, driven by stronger oil output and expansion in services. The IMF projects our economy to grow by 3.4% in 2025, reflecting a renewed investor confidence and reform momentum. On the fiscal front, our efforts to enhance revenue mobilization are paying off. Transfers from the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee have risen from 7.6% of GDP in the first 8 months of 2024 to 9.5% in the same period of 2025, supported by improved tax administration and removal of fuel subsidies. Our fiscal deficit is narrowing, projected at 4.8% of GDP in 2025, down from 5.6% last year. Firm steps toward fiscal sustainability and debt reduction. We recognize that inflationary pressures remain a challenge. However, with tighter coordination between fiscal and monetary policies, we are beginning to see encouraging signs of stabilization in the foreign exchange market and the gradual rebuilding of external reserves. Our broader reform agenda is anchored on economic diversification, digital transformation, and sectorial growth. We are focused in agriculture, manufacturing, the creative industries, and renewable energy, sectors that generate jobs and support inclusive prosperity. Through digital transformation of public finance and targeted incentives from green and inclusive investments, we are laying the foundation for a more resilient and diversified economy. But policy alone cannot achieve these goals. It is enterprise, the business you lead, that will translate reforms into real progress. As directors, you are the architects of corporate vision and custodians of the long-term value. Your decisions shape not only the fortunes of your organizations, but also the trajectory of our national economy. That is why sustainability and inclusion must sit at the core of your business models, not as buzzwords, but as strategic imperatives. We need directors who will champion ethical leadership, empower diverse talent, and invest in communities. We need enterprises that see sustainability as a cost, but as a competitive advantage. Together, government and business can lead Nigeria through this period of transformation, building enterprises that are globally competitive, socially inclusive, and environmentally responsible. Let me assure you that His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is business-centric, and his administration values the role of Institute of Directors as a partner in nation building. We look forward to deepening our collaboration to strengthen corporate governance, promote responsible investments, and build a Nigeria where no one is left behind. In closing, I urge you to lead not just with foresight, but with courage. The future of our economy, and indeed our society, is extremely bright and very promising. However, it will depend on the choices we make today. Thank you, and God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We'd like to thank you very much. Can we please give her another round of applause? First Bank of Nigeria, a pillar of Nigeria's financial system for over 130 years, continues to demonstrate leadership in supporting enterprise, innovation, and sustainable growth. We're proud to have them as headline sponsor for this year's annual Directors Conference. It is now my pleasure to invite their representative to give a brief remark. Please welcome Mr. Shehu Aliu, MCIoD, Executive Director, Public Sector Directorate of First Bank. Can we give him a round of applause, please?
The special guest of honor, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, duly and ably represented by His Excellency Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, the Honorable Minister of Budget and Planning, the Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, Chairman, Board of Directors, Ministry of Finance Incorporated, and the chief host of this conference, Otumba Adetunji Oyebanji, the President and Chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to stand on the already established protocol. My name is Shehu Aliu, and as duly introduced by the Master of Ceremony, I'm the Executive Director in charge of Public Sector Directorate, First Bank of Nigeria Limited. I stand before you to represent my boss, the Chief Executive Officer of First Bank of Nigeria Limited, who had wished to be here in person, but exigencies of his office made it impossible for him to be here. He has drafted a very brief remark, personally, that I'm going to read on his behalf. He sends his message of goodwill and apologies to the organizers of this conference for not being here in person. I will go ahead to read the remarks prepared by Mr. Alebi Yusuf. I'm privileged to be amidst this distinguished gathering at the 2025 Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria Annual Directors Conference. This forum has earned a place as the flagship platform for decision makers who have shaped Nigeria's economic and corporate landscapes. First Bank is proud to be the headline sponsor of this year's conference, and we do so with a deep sense of responsibility and devotion to the broader growth and development of our dear economy. This year's theme, leading through change, building sustainable and inclusive enterprises, could not have come at a better time. Change is all-encompassing. In fact, change is the only constant in our environment, the climate, the global economy, and even in the expectations of our people. Change is necessary. The question is no longer when change will come. Rather, it is how prepared we are to lead through change. Economic transformation is happening at a pace we have never seen before, forcing us to rethink how we build sustainable enterprises, as sustainability is now more than just an afterthought. It is a strategic imperative that determines how organizations will stand the test of time. Inclusion is necessary if we want growth to be real to the people outside the boardrooms, to the market women, to the youth, to the SMEs, underserved communities. To navigate this landscape effectively, leadership must be intentional. It must reflect agility, pivoting as needed without losing sight of long-term vision. It must honor collaboration, as no sector can thrive in isolation. Leadership must rely on communication, listening and understanding the voices of employees, customers, regulators, and communities. Above all, it should be an embodiment of courage and ability to make bold decisions as required. The role of directors and boards has never been more critical. The board level sets the standard for inclusion, sustainability, and accountability, as this is where strategic intent becomes operational reality. Boards must lead from the front, setting the agenda for excellence while aligning organizational goals with national priorities. As directors, we should proactively engage the government to shape policies that enable business growth and serve as catalysts for change. We must continue to evolve just as the world around us is changing. Fora like this are not just ceremonial. They are practical spaces where ideas, spaces where ideas are shared, policies are made, and partnerships are established. You are welcome, Your Royal Majesty. I will continue with the remarks by the CEO of First Bank, Your Royal Majesty, Mr. Shegun Alibiosu. I'm concluding when you came in. As we deliberate together, let us not see this just as another conference, but as an inflection point to influence business polity and drive significant change in the industries we lead. The world is evolving very fast, and as we know, history remembers only those who lead with courage and excellence. Let us therefore be those leaders, building sustainable and inclusive enterprises for the good of our nation. On behalf of First Bank, I want to thank the Chartered Institute of Directors for convening this gathering of brilliant minds. My appreciation goes to every director and leader present here for the work you do daily in shaping the future of governance and enterprise in this country. As the bank of choice, we promise to always put you first while catering to your financial needs. You can always bank on us for your financial aspirations, as well as for sustainable and inclusive products and services for your value chains. I'm certain we will have a truly productive and impactful conference. Thank you very much. Good morning once again.
Once again, permit me to recognize His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, Khalifa Muhammadu Sanusi II. Can we please give him another round of applause? And now, ladies and gentlemen, we stand in the presence of history, a man whose life story is inseparable from the story of modern Nigeria. From the trenches of pro-democracy struggles, to the corridors of policy innovation, and now to the summit of leadership as President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. His Excellency has remained the torchbearer of resilience, audacity, and vision, building bridges where others saw walls. Today, we honor not just a leader, but a symbol of continuity and courage, whose every stride is a reminder that leadership is sacrifice and governance is stewardship. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with hearts proud and hands together, please welcome for his remarks the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, ably represented by the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON.
The Chairman of Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, the representative of the Head of Service, herself a Permanent Secretary, Fatima Shukra Mahmoud, His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, Khalifa Sanusi, Lamide Sanusi, the President and members of the Chartered Institute of Directors, and the members of the organizing committee, representative of other ministers that are here, sponsors, partners, distinguished participants, good morning, everyone. Let me, on behalf of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, read the message he sent to me. I'm delighted to join you at the 2025 Annual Directors Conference of the Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria. Over the years, this gathering has become one of the nation's most important platforms for dialogue on corporate governance, leadership, and enterprise development. It provides an opportunity for reflection, sharing ideas, and setting new directions to guide Nigeria's public institutions and private enterprises towards a stronger and more resilient future. The theme of this year's conference, Leading Through Change, Building Sustainable and Inclusive Enterprises, couldn't have come at a better time than now, when the country is refocusing and taking bold reforms to align with global dynamics in economic shifts, technological disruptions, and climate change challenges. I understand that the conference will deliberate on salient issues related to business policies and practices, emerging development in the inclusive enterprise ecosystem, and sustainable development implications. These are issues reshaping the way businesses and governments operate. In such times, leadership must rise to the challenge. It must be visionary in charting new paths, courageous embracing reform, and unwavering in its commitment to transparency, accountability, and social inclusion. Nations are redefining their economic priorities due to technological disruptions, demographic shifts, environmental challenges, and shifting global trade patterns. For Nigeria, a country blessed with talents, resources, and entrepreneurial spirit, the call to lead through change is not merely an option, but an imperative. Both historically and contemporarily, it is countries that imagine the future and work towards that future that tend to do better. As a nation, we face the challenge of diversifying our economy, generating more value in it, creating jobs for a young, vibrant, and ambitious population, and competing in a global market that rewards innovation and resilience. While change is inevitable, it should not, however, be destabilizing. As leaders, directors, policymakers, and entrepreneurs who are not averse to change, I believe that our administration's current reform measures present great opportunities for innovation and creativity. We are investing more to reduce the hardship our people are experiencing. In addition, we have put palliatives measures in place at the federal and state level to cushion the impact on the citizenry. Leadership in times of change is not about maintaining the status quo, but about charting a bold, inclusive, and forward-looking path. Therefore, to lead true change is to face the future with clarity, confidence, and conviction, and incentivize innovation and technology adoption. It equally involves strengthening partnerships between government, the private sector, and civil society, and ensuring that enterprises are accountable to shareholders, culture, and the environment. As leaders, we must demonstrate that resilience and profitability can coexist with responsibility and fairness. For us as a country, leading through change is not optional, but a national imperative. With over 60% of our population under 25 years, our young people's energy, creativity, and innovation must be the engine of our growth and transformation. We are providing an environment that can drive our policies on renewable energy, digital economy, sustainable agriculture to global relevance. Against this backdrop, the government is expanding access to MSMEs, especially for women and youth, accelerating investment in renewable energy and climate-smart agriculture, strengthening digital literacy and digital infrastructure nationwide, and partnering with reputable organizations to connect local enterprises to global value chains. Let me remind us that we can choose to react with fear and hesitation, or lead with courage, vision, and purpose. We chose the latter. Hence, our drive, our decisive and courageous step from day one to confront the twin behemoths of fuel subsidy and exchange rate distortions. The renewed hope agenda, which is about confronting the future and making choices sustainably without blame game, in the last 2 years have shown great promise and results. Macroeconomic predictability has enhanced significantly, and we are committed to remain the course. Inflation is on a downward trend. Domestic production is expanding, and the economy is pacing the right direction. Recently, in order to mobilize all parts of the country, I, Mr. President, and the National Economic Council approved a program which will map economic opportunities in the 8,809 wards of the country, so that we can support economically active activities in those wards to us to generate higher levels of growth in an inclusive manner. Equally, the 2026-2030 development plan is being drawn in a bottom-up manner, where opportunities in the wards will be aggregated at the local government level to form inputs for local government plans, which will also be aggregated at the state level to form input for state plans, as well as aggregation at the national level to form input to the National Development Plan. We believe this will mobilize all parts of the country and give us a national plan 2026 to 2030, which will be easier to match to annual budget decisions by both the federal, state, and local governments. We have signed the new tax reform acts to ensure fiscal discipline and improve revenue. We are implementing energy sector reforms, infrastructure investment that is crowding in private investments in a different way from what has been done before. We are committed to a $1 trillion economy by the year 2020, which no doubt involves a lot of work and a lot of opportunities. And in order to achieve that, we have introduced a number of institutional realignments to generate value in some areas that has hitherto been left moribund. I'm glad that the chairman of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated spoke ahead of myself, and he has even highlighted some of it. This is not in the speech, but it reflects those one of those institutional realignments, including the creative economy, including the renewed investment in the solid minerals sector, digital economy, the credit guarantee system to ensure that we support our private sector. The 2020 Agenda 2050 was based on the promise that we will mobilize private investment as well as public investment, but at least $100 billion per annum, with 86% of it coming from the private sector. As we are ambitious in achieving the $1 trillion economy by the year 2030, we must give place of pride to the private sector, and there's no greater place to start than here. All of you, as directors of different companies, are daily dealing with decisions that require mobilization and investing of private capital in our economy. And we must listen to you and support you and ensure that we work together. The support we have had from the private sector have been pivotal in the reforms we have undertaken. The triple reforms that we have undertaken are very risky and couldn't have been tried without the support of the private sector. But I'm glad that we are seeing the results of that commitment. So together, I want to assure you that we will stay the course of those reforms so that we will generate near or even higher double-digit growth in the next few years. I commend the Chartered Institute of Directors for its continued leadership in championing the values of good governance and ethical leadership. Your role is vital in institutionalizing good corporate governance that will harness our entrepreneurial spirit and build sustainable enterprises to form the engine of growth and drive our determination for sustainable development. I urge you to provide practical ideas and suggestions that will support both the 2026-2030 National Development Plan, as well as interrogate what we have been doing. It is not a monologue, but dialogue. Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor and privilege to declare the 2025 Annual Directors Conference of the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria open. I wish you productive deliberations and eagerly await the recommendations from this conference. I thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a keynote is the heartbeat of a conference. It sets the tone, frames the vision, and calls us to action. Our keynote speaker today is a trailblazer in enterprise and thought leadership. Dr. Kola Additional, Group Managing Director of Sahara Group Limited, embodies resilience and audacity in business. Under his stewardship, Sahara Group has expanded across continents, shaping energy, power, and innovation in ways that position Africa as a player on the global stage. He speaks not only from the vantage of corporate growth, but also from the wealth of navigating risks, building institutions, and fostering transformation. A voice deeply befitting this year's theme. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for his keynote address, Dr. Kola Adesina.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, previously represented by the Minister of Budget Planning, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, my great Egmo, distinguished leaders, captains of industry, media men and women, colleagues, and friends. I wish that the Emir of Kano is still here, so that the bombshell he wanted to drop, he would have given it to me. I would drop it on his behalf, and we'll see how far we go. It is both an honor and a responsibility to speak at this defining moment in our nation and our continent's journey. We are confronting some truth where we stand, and for me, given where we are as a nation and as a continent, it is time to tell ourselves the truth. Not to assign blame, but to take responsibility, not to lament, but to rebuild. Africa's corporate leaders must now step beyond the boardroom to champion governance reform, inclusive investment, and innovation ecosystems that transform enterprise into a purposeful engine of sustainable national development. Our continent, as we see it today, is still largely in a shadow. Imagine the world at night, a vast landscape lit by billions of lights. 1 in every 5 of those lights should shine from Africa. Yet, when we look from space, you see only a faint glow. That dimness is not for lack of fuel. It is because the wires that connect our potential to productivity are still broken. Our task, therefore, is simple yet profound: to connect the wires, to ignite the current, and let Africa shine in full brightness of light. Africa is never short of big ideas. We have quite a number of museums of ideas that people have generated over the years. But the question is, why are we not making progress? After 2 decades in various boardrooms, one truth stands firm for me. Corporate prosperity without national progress is hollow. In our companies, we have mastered growth, strategy, risk, accountability, and performance. Yet, beyond the boardrooms, our neighbors still remain in darkness. Our youths are still searching for work, and our entrepreneurs still struggle to survive. It is time for the nation to benefit from the collective wisdom that drives the boardroom. Just as a successful enterprise aligns strategy, accountability, innovation, governance, and performance, so too must a successful nation. Over the years, we've spoken eloquently about the lessons from Singapore. Let's consider Singapore one more time. At independence, the country chose to run its nation like a corporation, driven by efficiency, meritocracy, and measurable outcomes. Through statutory boards and commercially managed state investments, Decisions were made with speed, clarity, and discipline. Nigeria, indeed Africa, can do the same. We need to apply corporate discipline to public purpose. At this juncture, it is important to acknowledge and appreciate the deliberate efforts, courageous policies, and strategic foresight of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. Through initiatives such as the Renewed Hope Agenda, the macroeconomic and fiscal reforms, the infrastructure funding and power sector revamp initiatives, and the ongoing drive to liberalize markets and unlock productivity, Mr. President has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to long-term national growth and sustainable development. His leadership is re-engineering Nigeria's economic architecture from fuel subsidy removal and exchange rate unification to the bold acceleration of public-private collaboration in infrastructure, in power, as well as human capital investment. These policies may be tough, but they are strategic foundations, the kind that turn short-term pain into long-term prosperity. They reflect a clear understanding that no nation can grow on populism, but only on productivity. Yet, it is vitally important that the man on the street, the last mile, the poor masses, must truly feel the benefit of these policies until our citizens can smile happily buying gari, rice, and beans cheaply, happily. We have not achieved anything yet. In Nigeria today, over 39 million micro, small, and medium enterprises generate nearly half of GDP and provide up to 88% of all employment. They are the true engine of our economy, yet the roads they travel, both literally and figuratively, are riddled with potholes. Power remains unreliable, finance remains scarce, policy remains uncertain. Our medium, small enterprises, they currently face a 13 trillion financing gap, which is about 17% of our GDP. Of course, this is a sign of failure. They are all signs that our economy is still waiting to be properly wired. In the boardroom, we celebrate profit and growth, but outside those walls, the national bottom line still bleeds red ink. For the stock price of Nigeria PLC to rise, the balance sheet of Enterprise Nigeria must be positive in all critical areas, from governance to infrastructure, from education to energy, from trust to transparency. This is the equation that determines the true value of our nation in the global marketplace. As shareholders in Nigeria PLC, we always would look forward to collecting dividends from the profit Nigeria is generating. Early in my career, I thought success meant a healthy balance sheet. If profits rose, I celebrated. Then I realized, even as the companies thrived, the nation's fundamentals remained weak. The lights were still off, the youth are still idle, the suppliers are still struggling. Of course, based on this, we began to act differently. Through the Sahara Regenerator Technical Program, we trained over 120 young Nigerians in solar installation and metering technology. Watching them light homes and power communities taught me something profound. When we invest in people, we invest in prosperity. That was my awakening. The walls of the boardroom are not boundaries. They are launching pads. Consider the United States, consider the US, the $200 million partnership between the Rural Electrification Agency and the Relive to build 400 mini grids and 50 metro grids, bringing power to up to 2 million people. This is not just a power project. It is proof that when policy meets private capital, darkness can turn to productivity. Each bulb lit extends the working day, powers a business, and illuminates a child's future. That enterprise truly then is serving its purpose. We must end the myth that development is solely government's duty and that business exists only for profit. A business disconnected from public purpose cannot prosper for long. The real economy thrives where enterprise and nation works as partners, not as strangers. For me, there are 3 clear priorities for sustainable transformation, not 10 complicated steps. And for me, the first one is let's fix the rules. Let's champion smart regulation and investment incentives that remove friction from small and medium-scale enterprise. Let's streamline permits. Let's harmonize taxes and strengthen credit guarantee schemes. Let's use our influence as business leaders to advocate reforms. Let's have one regulation at a time. If every leader here fixed just one obstacle in their value chain, imagine the compound impact across the nation. Enterprise is not just sustainable until it is inclusive. Therefore, my second prescription is for us to wire inclusion into cash flows. Women and youth-led SMEs are too often excluded from finance and supply chains. Let's set inclusive targets. Let's pay small suppliers promptly within 15 to 30 days. Let's co-invest in reliable energy solutions for production clusters. Your success, my success, is tied to the success of our neighbors. The third prescription from me is for us to build the innovation commons. And what do I mean by this? True productivity grows from shared knowledge and collaboration. Let's partner with universities, sponsor incubators and accelerators. Let's open part of our data and infrastructure to startups for them to be able to develop new ideas. Africa holds 1/5 of humanity. It is time to match that demographic power with innovation power. When we build ecosystems instead of silos, we transform a continent of hustlers into a continent of producers. My fourth imperative, which I just added this morning, I must say, beyond these 3, one more imperative stands out: alignment. The organized private sector must actively collaborate with government in selecting and aligning priorities to enable big leaps in results from the standpoint of resource allocation for infrastructure, social impact projects, and human capital development. Africa, and particularly Nigeria, will record significant progress only when this alignment exists between public purpose and private capability, becomes a deliberate, structured, and sustained strategy for a nation. Where the government wants to put money should be influenced by the people in this room. And in our various organizations, when we align regarding the investment we're making as well, we're going to see quantum leap in those areas, not the scattered graph that we have today by way of human progress. We began with a continent in shadow. We saw the pain of entrepreneurs struggling in the dark, the myth of government monopoly over development, and the gap between business density and productivity. We charted a way forward. We fix rules, we wire inclusion, and build the commons. And finally, we align priorities. Now comes the decisive question. Not can we, but will we? We, who sit around boardrooms, we all hold the keys to the prosperity of this nation and this continent. Therefore, I will ask the following questions. Will you use your influence to reform the rules? Will you design your business models to be inclusive? Will you invest in innovation ecosystem? Will you align your priorities with national purpose? If each of us answer yes, sincerely, deliberately, and consistently, then the next time we gather, Africa will no longer be the continent of dim lights in the night sky, but the brightest constellation on earth. Looking just at this room, I see eggheads, experienced mind and hands. I see people that's been managing multi-billion, almost trillion businesses and enterprise. The question is, if we measure the relative achievement of each and every one of us that are successful in the room, relative to where Nigeria is as a nation and Africa, are we really measuring up to the level of our success? We go to schools with the best of minds in America, and we're top of the class in Harvard, Wharton, MIT, and all the schools you can name in the world. But when we come back home, we do differently. The way to lead change is first to change ourselves, and therefore, ultimately, change the nation and change Africa. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Let me begin by expressing our profound gratitude to His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for his warm goodwill message and for his steadfast commitment to fostering an enabling environment for governance, excellence, and sustainable enterprise in Nigeria. Our sincere appreciation goes to our conference chairman, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, CON, for his insightful remarks and thoughtful reflections which have provided the right intellectual framing for this year's theme, Leading Through Change. To our keynote speaker, Dr. Kola Adesina, your meeting address has the spirit of adaptive leadership. In a rapidly evolving world, you have challenged us to reimagine the role of directors as catalysts of transformation, and for that, we are deeply grateful. We also extend our heartfelt appreciation to the honorable ministers, though in absentia, and also appreciate the contributions of the head of civil service of the Federation and the Director General of SEC, whose insights continue to strengthen the nexus between policy, governance, and private sector leadership. To our corporate sponsors and partners, well, you make me, I would like, you make me sleep well at night. Our First Bank, mostly our headline sponsor, First Bank of Nigeria Limited, and our partner sponsor, Boa Group. We say a resounding thank you for your wavering partnership and enduring support. Your belief in the mission and vision of CIoD Nigeria remains a cornerstone of our collective success. To all our distinguished participants, both here in Abuja and joining us virtually from across Nigeria and beyond, we express our deep appreciation for your presence, attention, and engagement. You are the reason we continue to innovate and elevate the conversation on good governance and ethical leadership in corporate Nigeria. This year's conference has been carefully curated to enrich, challenge, and empower every director and leader present. I urge you to take full advantage of the plenary sessions, technical discussions, and networking opportunities that lie ahead as we explore together what it truly means to lead with purpose, integrity, and resilience through change. Before I conclude, I wish to specially commend the Conference Planning Committee, the CIoD secretarial team, and all our volunteers for their dedication, creativity, and tireless efforts in making this year's conference a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, as we formally draw the curtain on this opening ceremony,
We do so with gratitude, pride, and great anticipation for the conversations and insights that will follow. On behalf of the President, Governing Council, and the entire CIoD family, I thank you all most sincerely for your presence, participation, and continued support. May the deliberations of this conference yield fruitful outcomes for our institute and our organizations, and of course, our nation. God bless you all, and God bless the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. Thank you.